Hello everyone, welcome to UGC EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Lubna Siddiqui from Geography Department, JMI. Today we will discuss about environmental education, which comes under the paper Environmental Geography. The objectives of this module are: number 1, define environmental education and levels of education. Number 2, to draw attention towards the aims and objectives of environmental education. Number 3, highlight significance of environmental education. Number 4, highlight the principles of environmental education. And number 5, scope of environmental education. Now, introduction. The pursuit of sustainable development and environmental conservation policies, objectives and targets requires the public to be sufficiently sensitized about the multiple dimensions of environment and development. Awareness and understanding of environmental issues provide the basis and rationale for commitment and meaningful action towards environmentally sound and sustainable development. Education has been identified as a critical force for adopting a range of strategies for implementing such policies and programs. Environmental education may best be defined as a process directed at creating awareness and understanding about environmental issues that leads to responsible individual and group actions. Successful environmental education focuses on processes that promote critical thinking, problem solving, and effective decision-making skills. Environmental education utilizes processes that involve students in observing, measuring, classifying, experiencing, and other data gathering techniques. These processes assist students in discussing, inferring, predicting, and interpreting data about environmental issues. Now, definitions of environmental education. Number 1, environmental education is a learning process that increases people's knowledge and awareness about the environment and associated challenges, develops the necessary skills and expertise to address the challenges, and fosters attitudes, motivations, and commitments to make informed decisions and take responsible action according to Tbilisi Declaration 1978. Number 2, according to UNESCO, environmental education is a way of implementing the goals of environmental protection. It is not a separate branch of science but lifelong interdisciplinary field of study. It means education towards protection and enhancement of the environment and education as an instrument of development for improving the quality of life of human communities. Environmental education, that is EE, refers to organized efforts to teach how natural environments function and particularly how human beings can manage behavior and ecosystems to live sustainably. It is a multidisciplinary field integrating disciplines such as biology, chemistry, physics, ecology, earth science, atmospheric science, mathematics, and geography. The term often implies education within the school system from primary to post-secondary. However, it sometimes includes all efforts to educate the public and other audiences, including print materials, websites, media campaigns, etc. Environmental education, or EE, is the teaching of individuals and communities in transitioning to a society that is knowledgeable of the environment and its associated problems, aware of the solutions to these problems, and motivated to solve them. In short, environmental education is provided so that people can have a better understanding of the world around them and know how to take care of it properly so that the world can be a better place. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, that is UNESCO, states that EE is vital in imparting an inherent respect for nature among society and in enhancing public environmental awareness. UNESCO emphasizes the role of EE in safeguarding future global developments of societal quality of life, that is QOL. through the protection of the environment, eradication of poverty, minimization of inequalities, and insurance of sustainable development according to UNESCO 2014A. Environmental education is a two-way system in the sense that the educator is making available to the people his findings. At the same time, the effectiveness of the message is monitored by the educator and made known to relevant authorities. The responsibility of extension person or educator is enormous because he has to be an expert in nearly all the fields, since he is supposed to explain and answer questions on various aspects of the environment. The content and substance of environmental education is also undergoing review and change. Environmental education has developed within the conceptual framework that emerged from the first international conference in Tbilisi 1977 and is now seen as education for sustainability. This allowed environmental education to address the broad range of issues and concerns included in Agenda 21 and others, which evolved through the meetings of the Commission on Sustainable Development according to UNESCO 1997. EE is a complex process covering not just events but a strong underlying approach to society building as a whole. EE provides people with the awareness needed to build partnerships, understand NGO activities, develop participatory approaches to urban planning, and ensure future markets for eco-business. Now, objectives of environmental education. The objectives of environmental education are brought in sense of nature. The systematic knowledge about the care should be taken in the explanation and utilization of natural resources for the development and progress of mankind is given through environmental education. The primary aim of environmental education is to impart knowledge about the principles required for the conservation and utilization of natural resources for the existence of mankind. Environmental education gives required knowledge and experience realizing the value of such important views. The role of environmental education is important in the realization of the necessity of maintaining a friendly and well-balanced relationship between man and nature. The general objectives of environmental education include the following. Number 1, to develop the sense of awareness among the students about environment and its various problems. Number 2, to help the students in realizing the interrelationship between man and environment. Number 3, to inform the students about the social norms that provides unity with environmental characteristics. Number 4, to create positive attitude about environment among the students. Number 5, to develop proper skill required for the fulfillment of the aims of environmental education and educational evaluations. Number 6, to help the students in realizing the importance of taking proper steps to solve environmental problems. Number 7, to develop required curiosity among the students for the realization of environmental problems so that they would be inspired to work for the solution of such problems. Number 8, to create appropriate situations for the students to participate in the process of decision making about environment. Number 9, to develop the capability of using skills to fulfill the required aims to realize and solve environmental problems through social, political, cultural and educational processes. Number 10, to enlighten the people on the physical components of the environment. Number 11, to inform them about their dependence on the environmental resources. Number 12, to enlighten them about the changes in the environment in the last decade and the consequences of their present actions. Number 13, to alert them about the consequences of human actions on the environment, both on man himself and other forms of life. Number 14, to create concern for environmental quality and conservation and to foster understanding of man's relationship and interactions with the ecosphere. Number 15, to develop personal, community and national sanitation and conservation ethics. Number 16, to awaken appreciation of the aesthetic quality of nature in order to encourage its uses for recreation. Figure 1 shows objectives of environmental education. Now, scope of environmental education. The scope of environmental education and awareness or environmental extension services covers all fields of environmental science. This includes the effects of man on environment, how he has exploited and devastated it, polluted it, but more importantly, how man can save itself from the problems which he has caused through the abuse, misuse and overuse of the resources provided by the nature. Environmental education should not only focus on the effects of environmental degradation, but very importantly, the understanding of the fundamental causes. These should also include the examination of social and economic factors that aggravate environmental degradation. Scope of environmental education can be described as number 1, education from the environment, number 2, education about the environment, and number 3, education for the environment. Education from the environment involves the experiences gained from our surroundings. This includes the aesthetic value of the environment and the need to keep them as such. Education about environment involves the study of our environment to learn about its composition and working mechanism and its usefulness. This is an important component of environmental education since we have to learn about the environment before we can make it. Education for the environmental enables us to learn how to preserve the environment to enable us derive maximum benefit for the present generation as well as for future. This is the conservation aspect of environmental education. Now, guiding principles of environmental education. Number 1, consider the environment in its totality, natural and built technological and social structures. Number 2, environmental education to be a continuous life-saving process. Number 3, environmental education to be interdisciplinary in its approach. Number 4, examine major environmental issues from local, national and international point of view. Number 5, environmental education to focus on current and potential environmental situations. Number 6, promote the values and necessity of local, national and international cooperation in the prevention and solution to environmental problems. Number 7, explicitly consider environmental aspects of plan for development and growth. Number 8, enhance the position of learners in making decisions concerning their environment and accept responsibility. Number 9, enable learners to discover symptoms and real and potential causes of environmental problems. Number 10, enhance the learner's ability to develop critical thinking and problem solving skills. Number 11, utilize different learning environment and approaches to learning or teaching about and form of the environment with emphasis on first-hand information. Now, components of environmental education. The aim of environmental education is clearly to show the economic, social, political and ecological interdependence of the modern world in which decisions and actions by different countries can have international repercussions. Environmental education should, in this regard, help to develop a sense of responsibility and solidarity among countries and regions as a foundation for a new international order which will guarantee the conservation and improvement of the environment. The main aim of environmental education at the grassroots level is to succeed in making individuals and communities understand the complex nature of the natural and the built environments. Further, to acquire the knowledge, values, attitudes and practical skills to participate in a responsible and effective way in anticipating and solving social problems and in the management of the quality of the environment. Therefore, necessary components for environmental education are shown in Figure 2. Now, levels of environmental education. Reorienting education as a whole towards sustainability involves the various levels of formal, non-formal and informal education at all levels of society. It includes number A, formal environmental education. Environmental education is increasingly a prominent part of primary, secondary and tertiary education in the world. The formal education sector plays a vital role in environmental education and awareness by exposing the younger generation to the information, issues, analysis and interpretation on environment and development. There has also been a major shift from schools to adult and community environmental education according to FEN 1999B. Rather than establishing a new subject, most countries have opted to infuse environmental education objectives and strategies into the existing curricula, while some other countries practice both options. In addition, the focus on practical learning in the real world in environmental education helps schools to address important general educational objectives related to values and to skills development according to UNESCO Prop 1996. Number 1. Primary and secondary levels. It includes number 1. Primary and secondary levels. At primary level, the attempt is made to sensitize the child about environments. Emphasis should be mostly on building up awareness, that is around 75%, followed by real life situation, that is 20%, and conservation, that is 5%. Teaching strategy includes audio, visual and field visits. At the secondary level, objectives must be real life experience, awareness and problem identification. The contents are supplemented with general science. Teaching practicals and field visits are to be done. The emphasis must be on conservation, assimilation of knowledge, problem identification and action skills. Contents may be science-based and action-oriented work. The diversity of approaches in primary and secondary education seen across the globe is based on each country's major and threatened resources and issues of concern. For example, in the Maldives, environmental education and awareness programs highlight issues of the marine environment emerging from the National Environment Action Plan of 1989 according to IUCN 1998. Objectives of environmental education at primary and secondary levels include number 1, to create an environmental conducive to greater reliance of the use of principles and practices of science. Number 4, to acquaint the students with various natural phenomena. Number 5, to develop an outlook which emphasizes the method employed in different disciplines of science. Number 6, to know and understand true aspects of the government in general. Number 6, to know and understand true aspects of the environment in general. Number 7, to know and understand the interaction between mammals, between human and their environment, and interaction between the various elements and components of the environment. Number 8, build understanding, awareness and sensitivity towards causes and efforts of the class that continuously take place in society, the world around us. Number 9, to build and develop skills in thinking, reasoning, inquiring, evaluating and making decisions concerning human and the world around them. Number 10, inculcate true attitude in using the knowledge and skills towards solving problems and issues relating to individuals, society and the environment. Number 11, to build the values and attitudes towards the need and necessity to live together in harmony in the context of the heterogeneous society. Focus of environmental education emphasized at primary and secondary levels include number 1, population growth arises and problems of unplanned population. Number 2, law, land use, land reclamation and land and soil conservation. Number 3, resources, that is resource uses, conservation and recycling. Number 4, food and nutrition, food production, food adulteration and preservation, balanced diet, etc. Number 5, conservation, causes of wildlife, plant, soil, water and conservation of other non-renewable natural beauty. Number 6, pollution, that is pollution of water, air and soil, noise pollution, pollution by insecticides and other chemicals and waste disposal. Number 7, health and hygiene, individual, family, county and social health and hygiene, health hazards, etc. Number 8, humans and nature, other compounds of atmosphere, environmental quality and future on earth. Now number 2, tertiary level. Tertiary level education has responded to the increasing demand for environmental managers and experts in the 1990s. At college level, maximum emphasis should be on knowledge regarding sustainable development and conservation. The content must be college-based on science and technology. Teaching practicals and action-oriented fieldwork is to be done. At postgraduate level, 4 major areas are recognized: environmental engineering, conservation and management, environmental health, social ecology. Key trends have been observed across the region in relation to environmental education at tertiary level. These include: number 1, basic environmental concepts and elements added to existing courses at undergraduate and postgraduate levels for all students irrespective of their courses. Number 2, new environmental units or modules introduced into a large number of courses can increase the depth and detail of environmental study. Number 3, new non-degree programs and courses, that is at foundation, certificate or diploma levels, introduced by tertiary education institutions to cater to the demand for in-service training and upgrading of knowledge and understanding on environmental issues and practices. Number 4, greater emphasis on training the trainers and in strengthening the tertiary education system and research capabilities. Number 5, more research on environmental education policies and practices. Number 6, a greater dialogue and information exchange between the users of environmental skills and talent in government, private and NGO sectors, etc. and the institutions of tertiary education, ensuring education and training address prevailing practical needs. And number 7, increasing emphasis placed on adult and community education using both formal and non-formal methods to raise the overall environmental literacy levels. Now B, non-formal education. Non-formal environmental education activities exist alongside the formal educational systems at curricular and extra co-curricular levels. In occupational training and through wide public awareness activities through non-formal channels such as mass media and voluntary organizations. Different communities, institutions and individuals choose methods and practices that best suit their local needs and capacities. Following are the main constituents of this education. Number 1, adult education. Adults may influence the society to protect the precious environments by generating posters, slides, audio, visual and information pictures. Number 2, tribals and forest dwellers. They are an important media to protect the forest wealth. Number 3, children activities. The National Museum of Natural History, that is NMHN. Number 3, children activities. The National Museum of Natural History, that is NMNH, conducts spot painting, modeling and poster design about environment for children. Number 4, eco-development camps. Currently, a set of guidelines has been prepared by Department of Environment to create awareness in youth and to acquaint them with the practice of sustainable development. Number 5, non-government organizations. There are more than 200 NGOs engaged in environmental protection. Number 6, training executives. Regular courses should be arranged for environment activities among administrators. Number 7, research and development programs. Such research and development effects are supported by Department of Environment and Biosphere and Man. Number 8, foundation courses. The courses for the probationers selected for the IAS, IFS, IPS and cadets of 3 wings of armed forces need to be supplemented with foundation courses on environment relevant to their area of specialization. Number 9, development of educational material and teaching aids. Materials for media, that is TV, radio, films, newspapers, etc., audio, mobile exhibitions, audio-visual materials must be operated by competent manpower. Number 10, World Environment Day. All governments in the states, union territories, universities, schools, colleges, academic institutions and voluntary organizations organized suitable activities on World Environment Day, that is 5th June of each year. DOE supports the function financially. Now, target population for environmental education. The 3 categories of audience that have been identified for environmental education and awareness are as under. Number A, general public. For the general public, environmental education should be provided at every age class and at all levels of formal education for pupils and teachers and informal education for young people and adults, including the handicaps. There is need for environmental education programs which introduces awareness among the general public for its own environment and danger to which it may be exposed. Participants in the general public education should include the general public, especially non-governmental organizations. Number B, specific occupational or social groups. These are those whose activities and influence have an important bearing on the environment. These include engineers, architects, administrators and planners, industrialists, trade unionists, policy makers and agriculturalists. Number C, certain professional and scientists. These group includes those working on specific problems of the environment, for example, biologists, ecologists, hydrologists, taxonomists, sanitary engineers, etc. Now, need and significance of environmental education. The rationale for environmental education can be described as follows. Number 1, knowledge about the changes that have altered the environment, that is land, water, weather, vegetation, social, cultural and political environment are essential components of environmental education. Consequently, the general populace should be equipped with all these to be able to solve the problems of the environment. Number 2, land, water, forest and other mineral resources utilization is the dominant feature of rural economy, with agriculture the driving force. Uncontrolled and improper exploitation of these resources have implications on the environment, causing disruption in the living standard, starvation, displacement and human suffering. Environmental education is therefore necessary to create awareness of the causes and effects of these problems, that is food and water scarcity, pollution, outbreak of epidemics and natural disaster such as flood, erosion and desert encroachment, and of course how to prevent them. Number 3, environmental education is needed to foster international cooperation and understanding. Number 4, public enlightenment on the impact of government policies on local environment should be useful both to the government and the local people. Number 5, awareness of such global environmental issues is an essential component of environmental education which ordinary citizen should be aware of. Number 6, environmental education for the overall social and economic emancipation of women and children. These form a substantial percentage in the utilization of natural resources, especially at the rural setting. Number 7, environmental education is very essential. For the lack of it, environmental education is virtually a new thing in this part of the world. Number 8, Environment education is also very essential for our survival on earth. The natural resources and cultural heritage need to be protected not only for this generation but for future generation. Number 9, to foster clear awareness and concern about economic, social, political and ecological interdependence in urban and rural areas. Number 10, to create new patterns of behaviors of individuals, groups and society as a whole towards the environment. Number 11, to provide every person with opportunities to acquire the knowledge, values, attitudes, commitment and skills needed to protect and improve the environment. Now, constraints to implementing environmental education. Number 1, rigid specialization. Number 2, complexity of interdisciplinary value of environmental education. Number 3, high pupil-teacher ratio for organizing pupil participation programs. Number 4, paucity of qualified trained environmental educator. Number 5, lack of proper resources in terms of equipment, supplementary materials and reference materials. Number 6, tendency to resist changes. Now, conclusion. Environmental education is a dynamic process. The priority of such education is to develop cautious mind of people about their total understanding. Its main task is to impart proper knowledge and training to solve various problems of our environment systematically. In order to enable people to enjoy good health and a high quality of life, it is vital to prevent harmful effects to human health or damage to the environment caused by pollution of air, water and soil, noise, vibration, noxious smells, etc. Environmental education is a methodology in which people pick up familiarity with their surroundings and secure learning abilities, values, experiences and passion, all of which will empower them to act separately and aggregately and to take care of present and future environmental issues. It is the study of relationship and interactions between natural and human systems. Environmental education should constitute a comprehensive lifelong education, one responsive to changes in a rapidly changing world. It should prepare the individuals for life through an understanding of the major problems of the contemporary world and the provision of skills and attributes needed to play a productive role towards improving life and protecting the environment with due regard given to ethical values. I hope you have understood the concept of environmental education. See you next time. Goodbye. Thank you.